Those who often go hungry in the wild know that fish and berries are delicious together, no seasoning needed.
Just seeing this combo, you know it's delicious. Sign up now to try it. The challenge is on day 11.
Only 5 contestants remain.
Today, seeing the sun again, Alan's mood is quite good.
If every day were like this, he's sure he could last until the new year.
Given the current situation, surviving for 2 weeks is a breeze, and with a bit more effort, he could even win. He's thrilled with the show's equipment. It's durable and reliable. No matter how he handles it, the equipment stays intact even when wet. He wishes he could get a copy of the challenge video to show everyone his survival skills. Alan thinks that staying positive will help him find food, though his growling stomach is a constant annoyance. He wonders if he can use this to catch some fish. To be honest, the location arranged by the show is really not ideal. Reaching deep water to fish is tough. He usually survives on berries, but worries they'll disappear in winter. He might faint from hunger any time now. He intends to focus on fishing. It's tough to survive without food until the end. Alan's hopes rest on this rope. Adding more hooks would help. One fish could sustain him for 2 days. The camera moves to Rune, who has added a door to his shelter, making it look great. Mushrooms are said to appear a few days after rain. Rune is gathering mushrooms for soup, imagining little people dancing. He collects every mushroom he can find. After this, there likely won't be many left. With the fish he caught earlier, life isn't too bad right now. But to make it through, this won't suffice. He desperately needs to gather more food. He requires at least 3 fish per meal, but he's only getting half a fish a day. His body is struggling. He hasn't found any berries lately and must rely on the occasional fish he catches. Rune is unsure about the other contestants' progress, but he feels he's managing well. He's also curious about the taste of berries with fish. Rune imagines the taste will be like sweet and sour fish, tangy and sweet, perfect with rice. He's sure he can catch fish. He plans to build a food storage hut. If he doesn't get any food, it would be a waste of time and energy. He could waste this small edge, but Rune isn't concerned. He just aims to improve his life in the wild. Otherwise, he wouldn't be crafting a door or planning to build a raft to set the fishing net farther out. This would increase his chances of catching bigger fish. Emil's idea is much simpler. Just make a trap to catch fish. The task isn't too hard, but Emil's strength is lacking. Even carrying wood a short distance leaves him breathless. Although he struggles every day with whether to go home, he still wants to hold on a bit longer. Ideally, he hopes to make it at least 2 weeks. Emil invested a lot of time and effort collecting branches and arranging them in circles. Then he tied the sticks together. Connecting each node really takes a lot of effort. If only he could move faster. Today, his mood is worse. He's even more homesick. He misses his family and the berries in the fridge. His stomach is growling with hunger. Although he talks about quitting the challenge, his hands haven't slowed down at all. So, while complaining, he finished making the trap. It looks pretty good. Now, let's see if it can catch any eels. There are some old pipes inside. In theory, once they swim in, they can't turn around and escape. He picked a prime spot and threw it into the water. Currently, Emil is using 1 trap, 3 hooks, and a net. With so many methods, he should catch at least 1 fish, right? He plans to wait by the river for a bite. On day 12, the weather changed rapidly. Rune was colder than ever, his fingers stiff, and he worried about the shore situation. He didn't know if the fish had migrated to deeper waters. If there are no fish, he might not last many more days. He had to brave the discomfort and wade into the water to check. A raft would save him from this daily ordeal. Sadly, he came up empty-handed and had to return to the shelter to dry off. He cooked the last of his fish. This way, he'd have the energy to complete the raft. If it fails, I think he might quit the challenge early. Rune, however, is full of confidence. He believes nothing can stop him and continues to gather more food every day. The prize money seems attainable. I'm unsure about Rune's plan, and I don't really back the idea of making a raft. Given the size of the waves, a small raft wouldn't stand a chance. Rune's already dreaming about catching big fish on it. If Rune's raft is still that basic, I'd tell him to stay in the shelter. Alan, though, seems more dependable. Despite his poor physical and mental state, he insists on heading to the shore to set up fishing hooks, knowing that without food, staying in bed all day won't do him any good. He tries to set up as many hooks as possible with the ropes he prepared earlier. He hopes the fish are still around, otherwise his setup won't matter. He needs to cast the hooks deeper. If all goes as planned, he should have fish to eat by tomorrow. Now, it's time to prove his skills. Alan stands on a rock, carefully managing the rope to avoid tangling in the stones. After some tweaks and prep, he takes a deep breath, aims carefully, and throws with all his might, hoping for the best. But things don't go as planned. Even though he threw the bottle far, the hook is still stuck in his hand. Thankfully, it's a small hook, not a big one. Otherwise, he'd have to see a doctor for the wound. He must reel it back and keep trying until he's content. Finally, he attaches 2 hooks to the rope, hoping they'll catch a fish. His stomach growls with hunger. He decides to head back and rest for a while. Emil misses his family again. He just wants to relax in the sunshine and play his guitar. Good grief. This is a survival challenge, not a holiday. Instead of playing around, you should be searching for food. Or maybe just rest in bed for a while. Emil's mood is getting worse, which seriously affects his will to survive. Since the second day, he's been wanting to go home and can't figure out why he's still here. Now, he's just focused on gathering souvenirs, maybe to give to the kids as toys. When they grow up, they can also join a wilderness challenge. Rune, on the other hand, is busy building a raft. To keep it stable in these waves, it has to be big and well made, although it requires a lot of time and effort. As long as he catches fish, the effort will be worth it. Fortunately, driftwood is scattered along the shore, making it simpler to gather and select. Without the food he stored earlier, he might have fainted from hunger while building. He needs to plan how to use the raft once it's finished. It's much improved this time, and Rune feels confident. He steps on it right away to test it. The raft holds up well. The only concern is how it will handle big waves. Rune wandered into the deeper waters. Overall, it looks good. Soon, we can cast the fishing net into the water. This distance is quite ideal. In theory, many fish should pass by. Catching 5 or 6 would be satisfying. Hopefully, the waves won't push it back to shore. My stomach is growling again. I'll just crawl into my sleeping bag and endure it. It's day 13, and Alan's mood is worsening. He's beginning to regret joining the challenge. He has many plans, but his body protests. Mostly, he just sits idle. It looks like he can't adjust to this place. He feels it's time to leave. He just tried to gather some berries. He nearly collapsed from hunger and is deeply concerned about his health, fearing he might never see his family again. A few days ago, Alan managed to catch some fish, but it wasn't enough to restore his energy. His body still needs time to recover. Seeing his worn-out face, I worry he won't last much longer. I had high hopes for Alan, especially with the great shelter he built. The fishing net is finally catching fish, so things should be improving. But now we need a doctor to check on him. The medicine seems okay. I plan to hold on for a few more days. I wouldn't recommend this to most people. It's really tough on both the body and mind. It's tough to imagine how other survival contestants cope. Our conditions are even worse. We work twice as hard as other contestants. It takes someone truly exceptional to win. The weather is nice today. Rune woke up and immediately checked the fishing net. He'd be happy with just 1 fish. He paddled the raft to the deeper waters. If we don't catch any fish soon, surviving on just wild plants will be tough. We must handle the fishing net very carefully. He doesn't want to fall into the water and get soaked. The water temperature could freeze a person. If the net gets tangled, he can cut it with a small knife, but then the net will be useless for fishing. Luckily, we caught 3 small fish today. At least it proves the raft is very useful. If we keep this up, we might just make it to the end and win the prize. But I'm concerned the weather might worsen. If it rains hard or gets windy, I wouldn't risk going out to sea, even if there are fish in the net. It's the 14th day of the challenge. Alan feels a bit better today. He plans to check the fishing net later. He's uncertain about catching any fish, but even a small one would ease his hunger. Pulling the rope feels extremely taxing for Alan now. It seems his body is really weak. However, seeing a fish struggling on the hook instantly lifts his spirits. Though the fish is pathetically small, probably just a mouthful, it doesn't change much about his situation. But it does make him feel a lot better. He hopes to catch more fish to eat, though he's unsure how long his body can hold out. Unknowingly, it's already day 15. Christine plans to check out the mountaintop. Those who love hiking know. Seeing the view from the top really lifts your spirits. So even if it exhausts her, Christine wants to reach the summit. This is what wilderness survival is about. I can't really share their joy, but I love watching them in action. It feels like my own belly is shrinking. Do you remember, not long after Christine arrived? A reindeer wandered past the shelter and headed up the mountain. She's curious about what's up there, and it would be nice to see her again. Her pace isn't very fast, and it took quite a while to reach halfway up, still able to see the shelter. She wonders where the other participants are. As she marvels at nature's grandeur, a herd of reindeer suddenly appears. Unfortunately, without a bow and arrow, she can't hunt. Christine is content just watching them. She hopes they bring good luck. She continues towards the mountain top. Emil is up to something again. He's messing with antlers, claiming he'll soak them in ink. Really, he just wants to make a necklace. It seems anything can become a keepsake. He tells the camera again how much he misses home. He hopes to return with plenty of gifts for his family and believes he won't be the first to quit, given everyone's abilities. The traps are empty, deepening his gloom. Meanwhile, Christine keeps pushing for the mountaintop. She often sees antlers, perfect for taking home as decorations, and her mood keeps improving. If it weren't for her growling stomach, she'd want to stay there forever. Seeing the sun about to set, She hurries back to the shelter. Now, only the camera light can illuminate the way. If she falls now. He worried about damaging the camera and missing the prize while still owing the show. Had he known, he would have returned sooner? He lost track of time while walking, feeling utterly drained and desperate to rest. Thankfully, the shelter was nearby. Luckily, the showrunners knew this group wasn't the best, so they avoided dangerous spots. Otherwise, who'd risk wandering at night? Kristen takes his time heading back, hearing frogs by the rocks and deciding to grab some for snacks. Pick up the rock and throw it at him, and it doesn't matter how fast you run, it's not huge, but it must taste great. Seeing this big rock means the shelter isn't far. Better hurry back to roast some frog meat. It's been a while since I felt this excited. John and his group have spent 16 days here, enjoying it like a vacation. They have fish to eat when hungry and beer to drink when thirsty. Life keeps improving. Tomorrow is his daughter's birthday, which he usually plans with his wife. I'll make it up to her when I return. I'll carve and paint this log. Hopefully, the show gives me more screen time. Then my daughter can proudly tell everyone how great her dad is. So, I need to stick around as long as I can. After waking up, Kristen remembered he had some frog meat left. He thought he had eaten it all last night. There wasn't much meat to eat. I guess 2 bites and it's gone. But to be fair, it really smells good. For him, it's like grilling a steak. His mood is getting better and better. The bones are so crispy you can just pop them in your mouth. Just wish there was more meat. Otherwise, he'd be catching frogs daily. On day 17, Emil is in high spirits. After finishing his hot tea, he's finally heading home. The guy who kept saying he wanted to leave every day decided to go on the 17th day. He felt he had tried a lot and could continue, but he now preferred to be with his family. It seems like he's saying he could win but would rather be with his family. Still, lasting 17 days is impressive. It's certainly more impressive than most people. Emil was happiest when he first arrived, and now, leaving, he's even happier. If the show didn't require him to pack, Emil would have left by boat. He had wanted to leave early on. It's impressive that he lasted this long. I hope he reunites with his family soon. With Emil gone, only 4 participants remain. I wonder who people think will win.